Hi guys and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. My name is Cameron and we're back today for another live stream. I'm joined by Jordan as per usual, and as you can see we're also joined by Rose, also known as Everton Rose on Twitter, YouTube. I'm sure you know, you'll have seen her videos of course. We're going to talk about young players today specifically, and how the younger players could be implemented into the squad upon the return of the league. Obviously we've seen the Premier League return yesterday with a bang, one absolute battering of Arsenal and one strange decision that I still don't know up to this minute how it didn't go in or it didn't class as a goal. Everton of course playing Liverpool in the Merseyside Derby on Sunday. So we're going to talk about the younger players and how this could be a massive opportunity. You know, we spoke before about how the large amount of games in such a short period of time is going to mean that squad rotation is massive. We know there's a new substitution rule, obviously 5 substitutions allowed now. We seen it exercised yesterday. Manchester City, I believe, used all 5 of their substitutions to the point where Eric Garcia had to be taken off injured and he couldn't make another substitution. And then obviously 9 substitutes being available on the bench. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities and there's going to be a lot of space for the younger players to break into the squad and hopefully get some game time on the pitch. And we're also going to talk about why that hasn't happened before today as well, because I think that's really, really important. So before we go into any of that, well, let's see how the guys are doing. Jordan, how you doing? It's been a couple of weeks since we last jumped on. How's life treating you?
Hasn't been too good, mate, because I've been missing you. But no, yeah, I'm all right, mate. Eagerly awaiting The Last of Us 2 release tomorrow. So
is that tomorrow?
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
We'll have to sign my life away there.
You doing good, mate?
Yeah, same old, mate. I'm just looking forward to it now, to be honest with you. I'm just looking forward to the return of the league, especially Everton, because I watched the games yesterday and they were all right. They were better than what I expected, but the quality still wasn't great. But I just can't wait up for Everton. And now that conversation's out the window, which we're not going to have, but we know what we're all thinking about them lot on Sunday. Now that conversation's out the window, we can just purely focus on Everton now and going into Sunday confident. And obviously there's no form team, there's no form, so hopefully we can go in with our heads held high and get a result. Rose, how are you doing then? How have you been during this lockdown? Strange times, of course. Very difficult regarding, obviously, you know, Everton, because there's been no football. How have you been doing? How have you been coping with it? And welcome to the show as well.
No, definitely. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Yeah, no, I'm good. Like you, I watched a bit of the games yesterday, and it felt really different. But no, like you say, glad to see Everton on Sunday. A little bit nervous too, though, as I always am with the derby. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on your show.
No worries. Yeah, I can't wait. Listen, I think the Merseyside Derby's a bit of a stinker to get straight in with, because, you know, ultimately this game on Sunday should be about us being excited to see Everton again, being confident, being happy. But we all know come Sunday morning, we're all going to be absolutely shitting ourselves, sitting on the edge of our couches, not wanting the game to start. But at least we can get it over and done with and then move on to some of the easier fixtures per se within the next couple of weeks after that, other than Leicester of course. So in regards to young players then, what we know so far obviously is regarding injuries as well. You know, Theo Walcott obviously will miss the Merseyside Derby as well as the return of the Premier League through injury, as will Jean-Philippe Gbamin, Yerry Mina and Fabian Delph, also due to miss out with injury. So there's going to be a lot of space for the younger players, the likes of Anthony Gordon, who we know were already on the brink of breaking into the first team, had the odd first team appearance here and there. You know, Ellis Simms is another name that's been sprouted up a lot recently. I think with Ellis Simms the discussion was very much that he looks a very good player and he's got a lot of potential, but he is still very, very young. He's still got, I'd say, a couple of seasons at least in the under-23s to get his head down and prove himself. But now that obviously the new substitution rules come in, we've had injuries left, right and centre, is there a potential that he could get involved? Dennis Adeniran as well. We spoke off camera about Benny Beningame playing, obviously Benny Beningame is central midfielder, playing in a position that we don't have many central midfielders, certainly not many quality central midfielders. Dennis Adeniran's another one playing in that position, and what I noticed from the training videos over the last week or so is he's a player that likes to pick the ball up and run with it, and I'm really, really excited by that type of player, because we don't have a midfielder that picks the ball up and runs, you know, at confidence with it. So we'll start off with Jordan. Do you think this is a good opportunity for the younger players? Do you see those players players getting involved. Obviously, we're under the assumption that your Anthony Gordon would get game time anyway because he was getting game time prior to the suspension. But do you think we'll see more young players, and do you think we should see more young players as well, as opposed to maybe your Niasse or your Cuco Martina, who we all know are ultimately going to leave the club in the summer? So, you know, it's very little point playing them if you've got other players that could play ahead of them.
Yeah, like you said, Anthony Gordon is one that I definitely will think will get a lot more game time now, for sure. The only thing is, I know everyone's saying, oh, just throw these players in and all that, like Ellis Simms and all that. I would give them game time, just not right now, because I looked at the table before and there's still a good possibility that we can maybe do something. You know, we're only 6 points off, it can still happen. So I wouldn't just throw them in yet because they've got no Premier League experience. Yeah. But definitely towards the end of the season, I would start, you know, using them players and maybe bring them on now for about 5 minutes, maybe if we're 2-0 up or something. Yeah. But I'd wait towards the end of the season to start bringing them players in, maybe with 3 or 4 games to go. But I wouldn't say don't play them at all. I definitely would play them, just not right now, maybe, because I do think there's something to play for there. We can't just write every game off straight away. Yeah.
I said that yesterday. I think we need to go in with confidence. And you're right, listen, there's going to be a lot of opportunities. You only have to look at the forward line, for example, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. You know, they're not going to be able to play all 9 remaining games because the simple matter of the fact is we play on Sunday, we then play on Wednesday, we then have a little bit of a break until next Wednesday, and then it's consistent, then pretty much 3 games within a space of 7 days. So you're going to see more and Moise Keane. You might see Richarlison on one of the wings one game, you might see him drop out. How do you feel about it then, Rose? Do you think that this is a much bigger opportunity? I think it's important to understand that. Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti's come in, and he's probably his last thing on his agenda has been to look at the under-23s because of the situation that the first team's in. He's probably thought, let me sort this out first, and then look at the younger players. But could this be a blessing in disguise for the likes of your Anthony Gordons, maybe even a Dennis Adina, and if they get the opportunity, could it, help Ancelotti to make his decision for next season? Because if Anthony Gordon comes in and has a fantastic, let's say he features in 6 of the 9 games, has a brilliant 6 games, then Carlo Ancelotti might look and go, we don't necessarily need to buy a winger in the summer because we've got a lad here who's ready-made.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, the games are coming thick and fast, so we can't rely on the normal players that we would. And I think the teams that are going to do well now, like we saw with Man City, their squad depth is just unbelievable. So the fact that they can bring on Bernardo Silva, for David Silva is crazy. And obviously we're not in that position. We've got injuries mounting up. So I think we are going to have to, unfortunately, throw some of those players in. Jordan said, though, if we're winning a game 2-0, then yeah, I'd absolutely bring those players on just to make sure that the rest stay fit, the first team players. So yeah, I agree.
And it could be a blessing in disguise, like I said, for the younger players. There's 2 ends of the scale, really, isn't it? There's the end that says if you throw them in too early, they could get startled with little Premier League experience, and that could hinder them. Or there's a level of player that will soak that up and will really, really take that on board. Look at Ross Barkley again. I don't like to bring him up because I know he's not very much appreciated in Evertonians' minds, but Ross Barkley was thrown in 16 years old at the deep end. He soaked it up, he used it to his advantage, and he became a very, very good player while he was at Everton Football Club, certainly in that 13-14 season under Roberto Martinez. Wayne Rooney very similarly as well, and I know Wayne Rooney's a different level to most players that you'll ever see, but there are players that may take that in their stride, and again, I think what's important about the younger players is they've got that hunger, they've got that desire, they're going to want to play. I have trouble with when we're thinking towards the remaining fixtures, and you're thinking, okay, well, are the likes of Umar, Niasse, Cuco Martina, even Morgan Schneiderlin, who's been heavily rumoured with a move away from the football club recently, are these players going to get game time? Because I'm not saying that they wouldn't play, I'm not saying that they wouldn't give their all, but if I was a player and I knew that within the next 4 weeks I wasn't going to be signed to this football club, you can't say that they're going to go out there and give it 110% every single week. We've seen the training videos. Look at Umar Niasse in the recent training videos. He's strolling around, he looks knackered, he doesn't look interested. He's a striker, and at one point he's playing centre half because he doesn't move up the pitch. Again, not saying that Morgan Schneiderlin will do the same, but if Morgan Schneiderlin knows that within a couple of weeks he's moving, has he got that desire, has he got that hunger to play at his highest level? Whereas if you're saying to Dennis Adina or Benny Beningame or Anthony Gordon, listen, you're coming in because we need you to come in, because we need the squad depth. But this is also your big opportunity, and I think it could be a positive for the younger players, because I also think it leaves Ancelotti with a situation, right, we're going to play these young players, and at the end of these 9 games, at the end of the season, I'm left with 2 options. Either these players are good enough to be part of the squad going forward, or they're not and they need a loan. And the last thing I'd want is for the season to have carried on as it was prior to the suspension, Anthony Gordon to have not been used an awful lot and then gone out on loan next season, and we looking thinking, bloody hell, we need a winger, and he's absolutely turning it up at a Bournemouth or I don't know, West Ham or somebody else like that, when we could have had him at Everton Football Club. Whereas at least we know if these young players are getting their opportunities when we return on Sunday and for the remaining 9 games, Ancelotti then has that decision to say, right, okay, I've seen you for 9 games in the Premier League, you are there, A, are good enough and can be a part of the team, or B, maybe need a loan out, and I think that it's also important to remember that works for the likes of Moise Kean as well. Moise Kean, again, another young player who's come in, big price tag, hasn't had the greatest of seasons on or off the pitch. This is his big opportunity. Now, he'll get game time, Moise Kean. He'll play, I'd probably say 40%, maybe even half of the games that we've got, because of the rotation will be needed. You will see, I firmly do believe, you will see Richarlison on the wing in some games. You'll see Calvert-Lewin drop out. You maybe even see Calvert-Lewin on the wing, because we'll need that rotation. And Moise Kean will get his fair share of opportunities, so it will work in his favour as well. So, on to the players that are coming towards the end of the contracts then. Obviously, we're going to need, as many players as possible. Obviously, we're going to need to utilise the squad as much as possible, and that means that you may see your Morgan Schneiderlins who might be leaving in the summer. You may see your Niasses, you may see your Cuco Martinez within the squad. Jordan, we'll start with you then. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about those players, being put in? Like Rose rightly mentioned there, your teams like your Manchester Cities, your Chelseas, they've got 5 top quality players to bring off the bench who they can look at and go, you're going to come off the bench and you're going to do a decent job here. Like of an Everton, have we got 5 quality Premier League players to come off the bench? I don't know. I really, really don't know. Especially
at the minute we haven't got. Sorry.
No, go on.
As I was going to say, at the minute we're struggling to have 5 fit players to start. So
Exactly.
having 5 substitutes is a bit wasted, aren't
Exactly, spot on. And I think when you start to look at, if Everton were to use 5 substitutions, I think young players fit into those 5, whether it be Gordon, whether it be Dennis Adain. And how would you feel then about the players that probably are coming towards the end of the contract, and also players that Evertonians might have looked at points this season and said, you've got no future, you should be moved on, likes of your Sigurdssons, maybe your Iwobis at times. Do you think this is a big opportunity for those players to come back in now, fresh start almost, and reprove themselves? And do you think they can do that?
Well, just quickly going on what you said about Moise Kean, let's get him in first before Ellis Simms and because I want to see more of Moise Kean. So I just wanted to make that point before. But going on the players, he might be out the door. Look, it's going back to being cautious with these young players, Cam. I mean, you can throw Dennis Adair in over Morgan Schneiderlin, but what if he has an absolute shocker after starting a game and we lose 4-0? His confidence is going to be shot. Morgan Schneiderlin probably won't give it 100%. I don't think he does on most games, but I'd still probably rather go with Morgan Schneiderlin to start a game of football for us where we want to win over a youngster who's hardly played against Premier League players. So that's my little take on it. As for Oumar Niasse, again, I know he's absolutely terrible, but maybe I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, but if we're short of options up front, I think maybe he's the one to come on just for the first few games. If we need a goal or something, because say it's 0-0 or we're getting beat 1-0 and you throw Ellis Simms on, he's under a lot of pressure to get the goal, you know what I mean? So, but then again, it could work the other way where it makes him a player. It's an hard one.
It's difficult, isn't it?
I'd have to swap. I'd have to put Schneiderlin on one hand and say, to go with him. Niasse, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing Niasse brought us when he used to come on was his fitness. He'd run round. He wouldn't be able to do much, but he'd run round. Whereas watching those training videos, he doesn't even look like he can run round anymore. Either that or he just simply cannot be bothered. How about you then, Rosa?
That might have been a 5-second clip. I didn't see the whole thing, but
that's true. I've just made my judgment based off what I want to think, to be honest. But you're right, he could have ran round for the rest of the 55 minutes and be absolutely knackered in the last 5, and the Everton cameraman's just gone, we'll have a little bit of a laugh on social media here and make him look like he's strolling. How about you then, Rosa? How do you feel about, the players that probably you know, well, the players that definitely won't have a future at the football club, we were going to leave on a free. And also, I think it's important that we highlight the likes of your Sigurdssons, your Iwobis, because I've watched some of the training clips and Alex Iwobi looks brilliant in some of them, moving from the midfield, picking the ball up, driving with it, passing 1-2. It's clear that he's a central midfielder, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's clear that he's better through the middle than he is on the wing. I think he gets lost on the wing. Do you think this is a big opportunity for those type of players to maybe redeem themselves a little bit?
Definitely. So like you mentioned with Alex Iwobi, I think for us, he has been more effective down the middle at times. Definitely earlier in the season, and I agree with Jordan to an extent in terms of like the central midfielders, but I just think in some of the games that we've played already this season, our midfield has just been so lethargic and just so slow, and basically in some of the games just non-existent. And then maybe if you brought in like Adeniran or Beningame, if he's fit, like those younger players, they actually might have more hunger to do well and impress the manager rather than Schneiderlin, who like you say, knows he's off to France at the end of the season. And so, yeah, that's my opinion on it.
I agree, spot on, I agree. And you know, you mentioned our midfield at times this season. One of the big highlights of that is the Merseyside Derby in December, when I think we had Sigurdsson and Schneiderlin in there, and it was one of the worst midfield performances I've ever watched for any team in any situation, and that's why I was so relieved. Go on, sorry.
It was the number one worst I'd seen.
Well, there you go. That's why I was so relieved the other day to see Andre Gomez fit, because I thought, oh my God, if Andre Gomez wasn't fit, we were in shit street here. And Rose brings up a good point. You know, again, to 100% agree with you, Jordan, about how it's a massive risk and those players could break in, ultimately have a shocker because of the pressure or because of the the situation, and then it could ruin them confidence-wise, and you might be ready. And Ancelotti will know that, and Ancelotti will have spoken to the players and made sure that they're ready. You'd be able to tell if you ask a player, do you want to play in this Merseyside derby, unless they're knocking on your door, jumping around saying I want to play, you're probably going to think maybe they're not as confident here. But as Rose said, there's been some midfield performances this season, like that one in the derby, where you look and you think, I could do a better job here. You know, phone up Lee Carsley, he could come in and do a better job. The players that, for me, I think quality is massive, obviously, in football. And I've, over the years, 21 years supporting Everton Football Club, I've seen a lot of players without quality playing for our football club. But one thing they all had in common was they'd give 110%. They'd run their arse off. They'd work hard. They'd give a lot. Even limited quality players like say Phil Neville wasn't didn't have a lot of quality, but he'd run round. He'd give us all. One thing that really frustrates me is players that A, haven't got a lot of quality, and B, just don't really seem interested. And that's what I seen with the midfield against Liverpool in December, was two players that weren't on the top of their game anyway and didn't look like they didn't want to be there, and quite frankly they weren't bothered, and that may be where somebody like a Tom Davies fits in a little bit more suited than a Benny Beningame or a Dennis Adeniran, because he's got that Premier League experience, and at the very least he's going to be arsed, he's going to run round, he's going to try his best, rather than a midfield that won't do that. And I think for me, obviously, Mitchell's just mentioned in the live comments, then Carlo Ancelotti's had 3 months to prep for this next game. Is it a masterclass in coming at Goodison Park? I hope so, I really, really do hope so. But for me, I think the midfield needs to be spot on. Gomez needs to play there, of course. I think who partners Gomez is a big decision for Carlo Ancelotti, because again, I think it could well be a fresh start for the likes of an Iwobi or a Sigurdsson, but it all depends on what Ancelotti is seeing in training from them. So on to Sunday's game then, specifically, no crowd, no fans, different situation. I read yesterday that the crowd noise that you hear when you're watching the television isn't actually blasted into the stadium. It's just an option that you pick on your television, so you hear it at home, but the players don't hear it effectively. So from being a footballer on the pitch playing at Goodison on Sunday, they're not going to hear any crowd noise whatsoever, which is probably a good thing, because there was cheering yesterday when the Man City player went down injured. I think someone pressed the wrong button in the studio, because somehow there was just cheering, and I was like, what's going on here? But there'll be no crowd noise. We're under the assumption, I think the club will have the siren and Z cars before the game. I'm hopeful that there may be some form of fan interaction, whether it be like we seen with Man City yesterday with the Zoom type of calls where fans are at the side of the stadium, or even just banners put in the ground to make it a little bit more homely. How do you think that will have an effect on the players then come Sunday? Because Rose done a video, very good video that she put out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about Merseyside derbies and the fact that we haven't won one in 10 years, and we've seen bad Liverpool teams come to Goodison against good Liverpool teams. We've not won. We've seen good Liverpool teams come up against bad Everton teams and we've been close. We've seen the fans on the top of the game and we've not won. The fans dejected and we haven't won. How big of a difference do you think this no crowd's going to have, especially obviously taking into consideration the derby at Goodison last season when the crowd played a massive part, I feel, in the whole sort of, I don't want to say horrible, because from an Everton point of view it was a fantastic atmosphere, but the whole sort of that lion cage-esque atmosphere which really shook Liverpool to the core. I honestly believe that, and ultimately they didn't win that game. How much of a difference will this have? We'll start with you, Rose, first, and then we'll move through to Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's a massive loss. Like, as you say, last year's game, the atmosphere was great from an Everton perspective, just like you said, and I think if the result had been different last night, in terms of the City Arsenal, and like Arsenal had managed to do something, I think then it would have we would have really felt it. And as you say, if they can do some sort of, if they are going to do the siren and the song, but if they can do like a Zoom type thing, that would be good, provided that the game goes well. But honestly, for me now, my expectation of the derby is I just want us to put in a really decent performance and just put in a performance that we can be proud of, even though obviously we can't be there. That's my take on it.
Spot on, I agree. Jordan, how are we feeling about it? No crowd. I don't know if you caught any of the games yesterday and if you watched them with sound or no. I simply cannot watch it without sound. I think it feels like a training session. I watched it with sound. Like I said, there was a couple of cheers here and there when the referee put his board up for how many minutes added on. It was a bit strange, but ultimately it felt a bit more normal than no sound at all. How do you think the lack of crowd will have an impact on the team?
Well, just firstly, going off that, what you said about last night, where they have one with the crowd noise and one with no crowd noise. I watched it with no crowd noise, and then I flicked over and thought, this is well better, but I know it's fake, so I had to turn back. It was like one of them things where once you've seen it, you can't unsee it for me. And it was better, but I just couldn't watch it because I knew it weren't real. I thought it was going to get pumped into the stadium, which would have been better, but now I know Sky are controlling it. It is Sky controlling it, isn't it, or the TV?
Yeah, it's the TV, whoever has got the game on. Yeah,
well, don't expect Z-Cars. Expect you'll never walk alone on Sunday when the teams come out, if it's them controlling it. But like I said, I think we said this on a video a few weeks ago, it could benefit us that there's no fan pressure, or every time a player loses the ball, we're like, on the backs and stuff. But yeah, like, the atmosphere was amazing last year. Like I said, I've watched that video where the teams walk out 500 times. It's an incredible atmosphere at Goodison on the derby. But in the last 10 years, we haven't won one. So it could work out in our favour. Exactly. It's a hard one. I'll be able to tell Sunday when we're either winning 1-0 or drawing or getting battered 5-0. So
it is. It's a bit.
It would be.
No, go on.
No, sorry. It would be quite Everton to not win a derby in 10 years, and then the one we win, there's no fans there. Like, that would be quite.
That would be exactly Everton. That would be Everton to a T. It's difficult, isn't it, to discuss as fans, because listen. As a fan, we don't know what it's like playing at Goodison Park, in front of 40,000 people. We don't know what it's like playing in the Merseyside Derby. We only know what it's like watching it. And like you said, I remember being at Goodison Park last season for that Merseyside Derby, and the siren, the first time the siren was used before Z-Cars. I'm not even going to lie, I'll probably get ripped to this, but I had a little tear in my eye. The hairs were standing up on my neck, because I knew that this game means more than any other game to any Evertonian sat in that stadium. We didn't expect the siren. You're seeing the impact it had on the away fans. They didn't expect it either. They didn't sing another song for the entire game. Our players come out. You could see that our players were really riled up by it, riled up by the crowd's reaction to it, which was good to see. And they put in that dogs of war effort that we know and love from Everton Football Club. So, the lack of crowd and the lack of that from a fan's point of view, I think is difficult, and it does seem like a negative. But you're spot on, Jordan. I think there's an argument there for that it could ultimately improve the performance on the pitch, and it could be a positive for the team. Listen, Carlo Ancelotti is a manager that notoriously, over his managerial career, as being known for settling players down, putting an arm around a player, calming the players down. One of the first things he said when he came into Everton Football Club was that he just wants the players to enjoy their football, he just wants them to calm down. Now, this is a manager that's won Champions Leagues everywhere he's been, league titles everywhere he's been, world's best manager. You'd think he'd come into Everton and say, you're shit, you're shit, you're shit, you're not good enough, we need to sort this out. But he didn't. He come in and he seemed to really sort of get everybody together, rile everybody together, even the players that weren't in the squad, even the players that have probably got no future at the football club. He got them all together, he put their arm around them, he gave them a load of confidence, and he said, listen, just calm down and enjoy your football. The Dominic Calvert-Lewin example I always talk about, where he come in, he put his arm around Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Dom was in fairly good form, decent form this season, but he put his arm around him and he said, you can be one of the best strikers in the world. And at that point, I think a lot of fans were going, what's he talking about there? Lo and behold, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has had one of the best second half to the seasons, or from Christmas to now, that I've seen any Everton player have in a long time, because he's had that confidence instilled by a manager of Carlo Ancelotti's ilk. So I think Ancelotti's management style of putting his arm around players and calming them down and just saying, listen, go out there, enjoy your football, work on what I've told you, work on what we've learned, don't worry about anything else. I think that could be a positive, because you're right, the players aren't going to have the crowd there, they're not going to necessarily make a bad pass and then people jump on it. I think if Sky were pumping the noise through the tannoy, they'd probably just pump booze constantly to try and get on the players' backs. But like I said, I do fall on the side of, from a fan's point of view, it's a mad negative, because obviously we know what the atmosphere is like. We want to be there, we want to be supporting the team. But from a player's point of view, maybe they'll be a little bit calmer with the lack of pressure, if they may feel, with the crowd, and they'll be able to just get down. And ultimately, the players only have to focus on winning that game of football now. And hopefully Carlo Ancelotti, like Mitchell said, has had 3 months to really get the players down and just say, listen, just be calm, just play football, just enjoy yourself, go out there, do what we've told you, little 1-2s, Richie, you run the wing, you do this, you do that, because the players, again, have come back and they seem to have that good morale, they seem to have that fantastic team spirit back. They're all, loving each other, getting involved with each other, which is great to see. And ultimately, again, we've spoke a couple of times as Evertonians since Carlo Ancelotti's come in about how there seems to have been a possible change of mentality. I mean, I can't remember the last time I would have expected Everton to be 2-0 down away from home and win a game of football in the fashion that we did. Certainly having 10 men, that Watford game was unseen, certainly under Marco Silva. Newcastle away from home, we don't go away from home and win games. And judging by the rule in yesterday's game against Sheffield United, we should have beat Newcastle at Goodison as well, because clearly the ball wasn't over the line, judging by that decision yesterday. We'll dive into the live comments then and see what everybody has to say. Eugene straight in there with Fraser set sights for Everton. So if you didn't know, there you go. Ryan Fraser is apparently, according to the Daily Mail and various other sources that I think have just took it from the Daily Mail, but Ryan Fraser's apparently come out and said to his Bournemouth teammates that he wants to join Everton. He sees Everton as the best next move for his career. He obviously recently come out and refused to sign a new deal with Bournemouth, and he basically has apparently, according to the Daily Mail, said that he thinks he should move to Everton. Everton apparently have said that we're interested, but we've got other players that are more that we've got more of an interest in, basically, and other positions that we need to focus on as more of a priority. Rose, then, how do you feel about Ryan Fraser? Do you like him as a player? Would you take him obviously on a free? Probably wouldn't want an awful lot in wages, 60 odd grand, I'd say. Would you bring him in?
I would on a free transfer, like you say, and he wouldn't want massive wages. I do think that we need to address other areas before that. It's like you say now, if Anthony Gordon comes in and does a great job, and we get Ryan Fraser, it'd be nice to have squad depth, but I just look at the central midfield and the centre back, maybe even the right back position, and I see that we need to address those more. Also, I don't really know if it's been mentioned, but his kind of attitude, I read somewhere that he potentially stopped going to training at Bournemouth just because he wants to move. I don't know how true that is. That could just be speculation. But then I'm kind of thinking, do we want that kind of attitude? That we've already got players who aren't bothered. But I rate him as a player, definitely, and he would improve us. But it's just questions about that.
Again, the attitude conversation's coming up, isn't it? Same with Rabiot. I must admit, I don't really like players that sort of spit the dummy at other clubs, because it always makes me think this could happen at Everton. I like players like an Adisagana guy who simply come out and say, listen, I want to move here because this is my dream move. I'll play my arse off. And he actually played better, Gay, when he made the admission that he wanted to leave. Jordan, then how do you feel? Ryan Fraser, obviously a good, solid Premier League player, probably not the ideal in terms of the next, a big superstar or the next big thing that we need, but could he come in and do a job? Would you take him on a free transfer? Is that attitude situation a red flag for you almost?
I've been saying for a couple of years now that I think he's an underrated Premier League player, and I wanted to sign him 2019, I think, in the summer. Last summer I was thinking we should get him. Sorry, I was just thinking when the next transfer window was, but yeah, I was thinking we should get him. I think he's a brilliant player, to be honest. I would definitely go and get him if we can get him on a free for certain. I was happy to actually sign him for actual money, but I would definitely bring him in. I know Anthony Gordon as well. I don't know. I used to see he used to look like he was coming in off the right, but I know when he's played for us a couple of times, he's coming off the left, so that could affect him. That all depends on where we see Anthony Gordon in the next few games for Everton, to be honest. But I just think it's too good of an opportunity to say no to when he's on a free. But the attitude thing does raise a little bit of a flag, to be honest. But on the other hand, he's given Bournemouth a lot of his career, and maybe he just thinks he deserves that move. So this is his chance, isn't it?
We're seeing a couple of players doing it, aren't we? Pierre-Emile Højbjerg has been stripped of the Southampton captaincy because he is basically expressed that he wants to move to I think he said a bigger club or something along those lines, which hasn't sat well with Southampton fans. Everton again being linked with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. I agree with Ryan Fraser. I think he's a very good Premier League player, and I think it's important that if we could bring in a Ryan Fraser who we know is experienced in the Premier League, can get his head down and can do a job, and we can confidently say be able to do that, it's probably a safer bet, certainly financially at the moment, than bringing in somebody from the Italian league or the French league who would bring in on a massive transfer fee, and there wouldn't be that sort of guarantee that they'd be able to get involved straight away and get their head down and obviously settle in as quickly as we would like them to. Jeff says then, alright everyone, it's a great day to be alive, isn't it? David Luiz has saved us from the hideous Liverpool. I'm not going to read the word, but happening on Sunday. Yeah, what a boss performance for Everton, David Luiz. You know what, I was out in Crosby, it was raining and the game had started, and I just thought, I went to look at my phone and I thought, I'm just going to see Arsenal 2-0 up here, and I seen 2-0 and I thought, that'll do, sound.
I seen someone on Facebook last night change the profile picture to David Luiz.
He's linked with the boot to Everton, really. And on a serious note, though, thank God we didn't sign him for us. He's not a defender, is he? He's one of those players that's definitely grown up as a kid, and they've gone, you're not good enough to be a striker, you're not good enough to be a centre mid, so we'll just put you in defence. And then through all his defensive career, he's wanted to express that he, taking free kicks at the edge of the box and all that madness. And he's one of those defenders that I think in the last 10 minutes says to the manager, can I go up front? Can I go and play up front for a little bit? Like, just do your job. Obviously, he didn't do his job yesterday. Shefton News says, can we beat Liverpool? Jordan, can we beat Liverpool?
Of course we can. I don't see why not.
I agree.
No. Look, we've got to beat them sometime.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, we can beat them. Watford beat them 3-0. We can do them.
I agree. Rose?
Yeah, that's why you've got to think like that.
Yeah.
Rose? Confident?
I think if you take the... yeah, you always have to be. But I think if we take the same approach that Watford did, then yeah, I think we can. I just want us to get over that psychological fear that we seem to have every time that we play them. So, yeah, if we can get over that, and if Ancelotti's, relaxed them all enough, then yeah, why not?
I agree.
Just quickly there, Cam, when Rosie's saying about the psychological fear, like, having no crowd there, they're probably in the tunnel every derby going, right, I've got to win for this crowd now. But I don't know if that's true, but, this might just take the pressure off a little bit.
Oh, I agree, spot on, and again, it'd be really, really interesting. Listen, over the last 10 years, we've seen Everton. I don't think we can see. I'm not even going to say it. I was going to say I don't think we could see a worse Everton performance in the derby than what we've seen numerous times over the last 10 years. But this is Everton. I can't believe.
I'm not going to say it.
I can't believe. I felt stupid to not say it. I can't believe the words have just come out of my mouth. But being serious. Again, I really do think it could be a positive for the players. I think we can beat Liverpool. I think we have to play Liverpool at their own game. I think if we allow Liverpool a lot of the ball, then they're going to play because they can play. I think we have to run at them. I think we have to counter them. I think we have to get in their faces. I don't know what the rules state with getting in faces because of what's going on, but I think we have to play them at their own game. We have to come with confidence and say, right, okay, we're not just going to let you have the ball and sit back. When we've got the ball, we're going to keep the ball and we're going to move forward and we're going to push you, because that's what Watford done, and they got a little bit startled at that and ultimately lost the game by some way as well. And I think it's important that we do that, and I am 100% confident that Ancelotti has sat and analysed how Liverpool play and how we can beat them. Chepton News then says, who do you think at Everton can save their career during this time then?
Fabian Delph's got a lot to say for himself, I think.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
He needs to start putting some performances in, I think.
Spot on.
Yeah, I think Delph and Iwobi, like we mentioned earlier, I think, like you say, he's looked good in the clips that we've seen. Delph, Iwobi, Niasse, I'm a little bit more sceptical of, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, those two definitely.
I'm going to say Iwobi and Sigurdsson. I know a lot, and I know those two because more so Sigurdsson, a lot of Everton fans want him gone. A lot of Everton fans want him sold. I think one thing with Gylfi Sigurdsson, the two things with Gylfi Sigurdsson is he doesn't work in a 4-4-2 and he is not a winger. He doesn't work on the wing whatsoever. But
please don't put him on
please don't put him on the wing. But he's been here for 3 years, and it's mad with Gylfi Sigurdsson because of City, and I think how as a player that was so good last season, because he was brilliant. He was scoring worldies left, right and centre. He was our highest goal scorer under Richarlison. He was brilliant last season. He single-handedly won us a number of games. The one against Leicester away from home to just the name straight off the top of my head. How has a player gone from that to such a poor downfall? And I think Gylfi Sigurdsson's one that could potentially revive his Everton career. I think again, formations is something that we're going to see a lot of with Ancelotti. I think he's come in and he's adopted the 4-4-2 because he's probably thought, let's just use that because they're used to that at the moment and they're working with that. But I do think certainly going into next season, Ancelotti will be looking to maybe adopt some different types of formations and approach games in different ways once he's sort of really figured out who's going to be at the club and who isn't going to be at the club. But Iwobi's another one because I've been really impressed with Iwobi in the training videos, and also I've been impressed with Iwobi at times when he's played. I certainly think he plays well better through the middle than he does on the wing. I think he gets lost on the wing, and I don't think he's got the greatest of first touches, but he's a player that will run with the ball, is confident enough to run with the ball, and I actually think is quite good with the ball at his feet once he's got it under control. But on the wing, you can't really afford to have a bad touch, or you can't really afford on the wing. If you're getting the ball, you need to take it and go straight away. You haven't really got that time to think and wonder, whereas we're desperately lacking a midfielder who picks the ball up and runs with it. So if Iwobi can be that midfielder, then I'd put him there. I would.
For us was that West Ham game where he played just behind the striker at home when we won 2-0. He was brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've seen him there since.
Exactly. Let's hope that, well, if Carlo is watching, please play Iwobi through the middle. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit the like button. It means a massive amount to us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Mitchell says, will be interesting to see how much Sidibe performs, knowing his proposed transfer to the Blues looks to be off. Will he have the motivation? I still think we'll sign Sidibe, mate. I really do. I think he's an easy option. He'll be cheap, and he covers a position that we desperately need to fill. So I still think we'll sign him. What about you guys?
I was just going to say I think he'd be right up for this Sidibe because time's just sort of running out for him. So I think he'd be one looking to impress, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he'd be keen to impress. I think he really needs to improve positionally. And there's that famous video of that fan shouting at him to get across. But I think positionally, and it's just interesting to see where John Joe Kenny fits in as well. Because he's impressed at Schalke. I know some people don't think he's good enough for the Premier League and good enough to play for us, but I'd like to see him given a chance at least.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a really good point, and I think Sidibe's future relies or sort of goes off of what Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti think of John Joe Kenny. He's had a fantastic season at Schalke. I actually don't think a second season at there will be a bad thing for him. I think that will benefit him, if I'm being honest with you. But again, I think Sidibe will be holding on for that decision to be made by the club. It's difficult, isn't it? Because it's a very different league, and it would be if we were to not sign Sidibe permanently and bring John Joe Kenny back, and then John Joe Kenny ultimately not be good enough or not settle into the league, then again we're in that situation where we need to go out and buy another right back. But I think Sidibe will work harder than he's worked before in an Everton shirt, because I think he wants this move. And the club at the moment is still very much, we don't really know. Or they might know. They might have said to Sidibe, he looks all happy, smiles, insane, and so they might have said to him, listen, yeah, we're going to sort it out, we're going to sign you. Don't worry about it, basically, we're just waiting on an agreement. So again, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Jeff says, as a quick note, when Carlo arrived, he had no time really to work with the players. He's just had time to prep for games. This break might have been like a pre-season. Good point, really good point. Ancelotti will have had a lot of time to work off the pitch, looking at the players and the different uses of the squad, and back in the training pitch as well. I think that's a really, really good point. He also says Carlo should have been able to get proper coaching in, hopefully, mate, hopefully. Jevton says Gomez is class. Jeff says we need goals from other areas. It was nice to see Keane scoring in the friendly against ourselves. Did you see the friendly game? Michael Keane scored 2 absolute bullet headers, which is good to see, because he's going to be starting in the games ultimately. Certainly the derby. How do you feel then about...
Gordon with a lovely cross.
Yeah, with Anthony Gordon with a fantastic cross then, yeah. Talking a centre-half, then obviously it's more than likely going to be Mason Holgate and Michael Keane. Before we finish up, how confident are you with that centre-back pairing going into Sunday's game? Now we know that it will be those two.
Mason Holgate's really impressed. And I think, Michael Keane, if we look back at last year's derby at Goodison, he put in a great performance, and hopefully, as you say, with the coaching, I have hope that he can do okay. And then, of course, we've got Braithwaite coming through as well, and I know that he probably will be in the first team squad for Sunday, like you say, with the rotation and the first conversation that we had in terms of like the 5 subs. So, I just think give them a try. And if the pressure gets too much, then at least they have a good coaching staff of Ancelotti and Brands to just clean slate if it does go wrong.
John, we spoke about Michael Keane a few weeks back. Again, the discussion around about if we were to bring in another centre-half, whether it be Thiago Silva now, I don't even think we were talking about that at that point. Gabriel, who's still in the mix. How do you feel about Michael Keane? And do you think this, again, talking about players that could revive their Everton career as such, do you think this could be a big opportunity for a Michael Keane? Certainly is impressed in training.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't write Michael Keane off fully. It just depends which Michael Keane turns up Sunday. I think he's played some brilliant games for us. I remember the derby last year, 0-0. He was brilliant. He's probably our best player, to be honest. That last ditch tackle on Salah, wasn't it? I thought he was a rock at the back there. So I'm not too bothered about Holgate and Keane in the middle. I don't think it's that. It's not a worry, put it that way. Just quickly on Holgate, I think you could possibly, when Mina comes back, see him go into centre mid as well a few times when you're talking about the squad rotation. That's another option for centre mid. He's looked alright there. But with Keane and Holgate, I'm not worried.
Oh, I agree. I think Michael Keane, like you mentioned, Michael Keane, when he turns up, can be absolutely fantastic. He really, really can be. Mason Holgate, I'm not worried with at all. But listen, ultimately, again, it's a big opportunity for Michael Keane to get his head down, work hard. A player that when we signed him, there was talk of him being a potential Everton captain within the first few years, and now there's talk about whether he's good enough again. Insane, and he's looked decent, he's looked sharp. He needs to do more of that in games, getting up at corners, winning headers and scoring. We don't score enough from set pieces. It absolutely frustrates me how many times we get. It's getting to a point now where you watch Everton and you get a corner and you think you may as well just give a goal kick because we're not going to do anything from this situation. And I think the likes of players like Michael Keane, who every time he seems to climb for the corner, the ball ends up in the stands. Yerry Mina, big, strong, powerful, tall centre-halves or centre midfielders. They need to be getting involved more with the goals and certainly from set-piece situations. So I'm glad to see that, you know, 2 decent crosses were put in the box from those type of situations, and Michael Keane was on the end of them both in the back of the net. So hopefully that's something he's been working on.
Hopefully he can carry that in. Hopefully he can carry that in.
Yeah,
Definitely. We'll finish it there then. I hope you all have enjoyed the live stream. If you have, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Big thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section. John will be in there, I'll be in there. I'm sure Jordan and Rose will pop in as well to get involved. Big thanks to both Jordan and Rose for coming on. You can find all of the links to their social medias in the description. Of course, Jordan's Movie Worm YouTube channel, go over, check that out. Brilliant content. If you're into films, absolutely boss content. And of course, Everton Rose on YouTube. Go and drop Rose a subscribe. Go and follow Rose on Twitter, as well as Jordan. You can follow me as well if you want. I'm down there somewhere. We'll be doing a game preview to the derby tomorrow on the Mighty Blues at about 5:15, so you can join us live for that one if you want. Big thanks for watching. Thanks guys for coming on and getting involved in the conversation.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Anybody have anything to say before we go? Before we finish up?
Come on, you Blues.
Yeah, come on, you do.
Let's just hope. Let's just hope for Sunday. Just go out there and just make us proud, Everton. Just make us proud. Go out, give it 110%. Throw a tackle in, social distancing. You're playing footy. Throw a tackle in. Make them know you're there. And now that there's no talk about what they could win or what they can't win, let's just go out and win the game anyway, and let's make sure that there was no talk about that anyway. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.